Well, I wanted to show how American Indian lives, which are so often imagined as lives apart, right? There's America, broadly speaking, and then inside of it, in these far remote little tiny places where other people aren't allowed to go, there are Indians living their Indian lives, maybe on horseback, maybe drunk, right? Maybe struggling. But the idea is that Indian lives are lives apart, in America but not of America. And I think that's not true. It's not true in a broader sense. It's not true in a very specific sense. I mean, American Indians have been part and parcel of every sort of significant evolution of the American experiment. We're just not used to seeing it that way. And so I wanted to foreground that. In order to do that, I needed to talk to real people, right? I didn't want to talk to washed-up aimsters. An aimster is a member of the American Indian movement. No offense to anyone here who might support AIM. I didn't want to talk to Russell Means and Dennis Banks and Clyde and Vernon Belcourt. I didn't want to talk to those guys, right? I didn't want to talk to tribal chairmen and women. I wanted to talk to cops and lawyers and social workers and people without jobs and someone working at the supermarket. And I wanted to talk to people, not experts so much. And so, at first, and this was the part about writing nonfiction that I really wasn't prepared for, was how bad of an interviewer I was. I thought, yeah, I'll go down to Seminole country and I'll talk to some Seminoles, and I'll go to upstate New York and I'll talk to some Haudenosaunee folks, and I'll just go around and talk to people. And I realized that it made me nervous, and I'd get all sweaty and I'd stutter and I would sort of want to crawl inside myself and die. I just felt awkward. I felt like, and I imagine all interviewers feel that way, but I felt it maybe more keenly than some people because I knew from personal experience how often our stories and our lives had been co-opted, written over, and gotten wrong by many a writer. I knew that. There's one difference between most American Indians and most Americans is that most American Indians, when a camera shows up, they run, right? Except for the professional Indians who sort of will jump in front of the camera and take all the hits, right? Clyde Belcourt's like, "Oh, shoot me again." Most people, not so much. And whereas most Americans are like, "Can I have my own reality TV show, please?" And so people were really shy. And that made me shy, and it was really awkward. And so I had to fall back. My next level of defense was I had to regroup, and I had to rethink it, and I started talking to people that I knew well. And so this guy, Sean, he's in chapter 3. Sean's a talker. He loves to talk. And I said, "Sean, I'd like to talk to you about this book, Rez Life." He said, "What's it about?" And I kind of gave him the spiel. He said, "Okay, I'm in." I said, "Well, here's what," and so I said, "Okay, I'll pick you up at 9. So I drove to his house. I was in my truck. And I said, "Sean, here's what we're going to do. In this thermos is about a gallon of coffee, just the way you like it. Here's a microphone I'm going to clip to your coat. Here's a shotgun and some shells, and we're going to go hunting partridge all day long. We're just going to drive around looking for birds," which he loves to do, right? Doesn't like to get exercise. He likes to drive around and look for birds. And I said, and we're just going to talk. And first it'll be general. It'll be kind of your life story, where you're from, how you grew up, your mom, your brothers. I knew some of this stuff already. And we'll talk about your time in the Navy. He's a veteran of the Navy. They took the most stressed out guy I know, and they gave him a job of being an air traffic controller on an aircraft carrier, right? He was already high-strung. The worst job ever for someone who's high-strung. So I said, and you're going to talk and talk and talk, and you're going to forget that the microphone's on. You're going to forget that this is going into my digital voice recorder. You're going to forget that this will someday go into a book, and you're not going to edit anything you say. You're just going to talk. You're just going to talk, and you're going to say whatever comes to your mind. And I'm going to use it all. But when I'm done, I'll give you a chance to read the chapter before it goes to press. And if you don't agree with it, you can pull out. which most journalists would never do. Right? I gave all of my informants that chance. You get to read it before anyone else does, and if you don't like how you're portrayed, if you don't like what I'm saying, if I get it wrong, you can tell me that I'm out. And then I have to start over, but that's up to you. And to a one, they said, go with it. It's okay. Trust you. And some of them, like Sean read his chapter, and when you know, I sent it to him, and then he called me up. He was like, yeah, I read the chapter. I said, how do you feel? He said, oh, I sound like an asshole. I said, well, then it's inaccurate. You are an asshole. He said, yeah, it's true. He's like, fuck it. It's good. He goes, it's hard to read about yourself. I said, yeah, I know. And he said, oh, all right, okay. I trust you. It's okay. You know, it took a lot of faith on his part. And, but I didn't want to turn him or anyone else into some sort of icon or hero or villain, for that matter. Sean's a complicated human being. I wanted that to come through. I love him. You know, I wanted what I love about him and what exasperates me about him in equal measure to come through. So it was hard. Long answers to really short questions. How was the writing? Hard. Sorry, I go on.